She said he recorded her. He swore he didn't. No proof. No one cared. Her friends beat him half to death. Took everything. And the worst part? She smiled while it happened. But 5 years later, she crossed the wrong street and ended up in his hospital. But that's not the twist that will break you. Their daughter is about to change everything. The first time she saw him, it wasn't fireworks or some romantic slow-motion crap. It was the pause, a moment where her drink froze halfway to her lips. A face, too young for her, too unbothered by the noise around him. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. God, that annoyed her a little, and it pulled her in. She was used to people looking at her, hanging on her words, kissing the ground she walked on. Not him. He was just there, serving champagne like it was another job. No smile, no desperate small talk. Just he had one of those soft faces that could make anyone forgive him for anything. The kind of face that could pass as both innocent and dangerously charming. And maybe it was the way his hair fell slightly over his forehead or the curve of his jaw, but her chest tightened in a way she hadn't felt in years. She tilted her head, smiling, the slow, confident smile of a woman who knows she's got money, power, and experience on her side. You don't talk much, do you? He blinked, almost startled, like he didn't expect the question. I talk. Just not when I'm working, he said softly and looked away. A challenge. She liked challenges. She found him again near the balcony doors. He was lining up the champagne glasses, probably thinking nobody noticed him. You got the kind of face that shouldn't be hiding in corners, she said, leaning on the glass door frame. He glanced at her, confused. Excuse me. You heard me, she teased. How old are you? Wait, don't tell me. Let me guess. Early 20s? Yeah, I can tell. There's something about the way you stand, like you don't realize how good you look yet. He hesitated, unsure how to respond. His voice dropped lower when he finally spoke. I think I should get back to work. She laughed under her breath. God, she loved that innocence. Or maybe it was just nerves. Either way, she wasn't done with him. You're cute, she said bluntly. You don't have to say anything. Just call me when you're done with all this serving and smiling nonsense. He looked down at the card, like it might burn his hand. He didn't pick it up right away. For a second, she thought he'd refuse. And that only made her want him more. He ended his shift later than night, standing alone under balcony lights, that business card still in his hand. He wasn't stupid. He knew women like her, rich, powerful, playing with him like he was some shiny new toy. But there was something different about her eyes. Something that said, I always get what I want. And maybe, just maybe, a part of him was curious about what would happen if he called. He didn't know what to wear. That was the first thing. You don't get invited to a place like the Citadel when your entire wardrobe could fit in a laundry bag. He borrowed a blazer from his roommate, wore shoes 2 sizes too tight, hair slicked back with cheap drugstore gel. He looked clean, presentable, but not comfortable. And she looked like she owned the sky. Have you ever been here before? She asked, sipping red wine that probably cost more than his entire week of groceries. No, he replied. I usually eat at places with plastic menus. It was a joke, a small one, but she didn't laugh. She was watching him like a collector watches a rare piece, not with affection, but with curiosity, the way his jaw clenched before answering, the hesitation when ordering, the quiet apology when he dropped the butter knife. He was beautiful. He didn't even know it. That made him interesting. He was quiet through dinner. Not rude, just careful. Every compliment she gave him, he returned with a nod or a half smile. Every flirt, he redirected. And she wasn't used to that. You're a hard one to crack, she said. I'm not a puzzle, he replied. She leaned back. That's what makes you fun. After dinner, she didn't ask. She just walked to her car and tilted her head like follow me was a given. He followed, not because he wanted to, not really, but she'd paid the bill without asking. She complimented his voice, said things like, you deserve better than where you are right now. And it had been a long time since someone said that to him. In the car, she played jazz. Loud. Windows down. Wind whipping through her hair like some perfume ad. She asked about his childhood. He told her a little, just the safe parts. She told him hers like it was a movie script. Boarding schools. Summers in Spain. Her father's private island. No struggle. No gaps. Just gold-plated problems. She reached over at one point, touched his hand lightly. "You're tense," she said. He didn't move. They ended up at her place. A penthouse with a view that stole breath. "I'm not trying to seduce you," she said, handing him a drink. He didn't believe her. He sipped anyway. "I just enjoy your company." He turned toward the window. "You don't even know me." "That's the point." He frowned. "What do you mean?" "I'm tired of people pretending." "You don't pretend." "That's refreshing." She moved closer. He didn't step back, but he didn't lean in either. There was a silence, the kind that presses against your ribs. "I'm not looking for anything serious," he said, voice low. Honest. Her lips curled slightly. "Who said I was?" He left that night without kissing her. She didn't stop him. But as he walked out, she smiled to herself. Because in her mind, this was a game. And in games like this, she always won. He didn't sleep that night. Not because of her, but because something felt off. Something didn't sit right. He liked her kindness, but hated how transactional it felt. He wasn't dumb. He knew she was offering him comfort in exchange for something else. Maybe attention, maybe submission. And the worst part? A piece of him was tempted to accept. Because when your fridge is empty and your phone bill's overdue, kindness, even fake kindness, feels like rescue. But he also knew something else. Rescues that come with strings aren't rescues. They're traps. He shouldn't have come back. He knew that the moment the elevator dinged and those glass doors opened, it felt wrong. But here he was. Again, same penthouse, same view, same unspoken promise, hanging in the air. She greeted him barefoot this time. No lipstick, hair undone, soft, approachable, calculated. "Rough day?" she asked, already pouring him something dark and expensive. He nodded. "Yeah." Interview fell through. She handed him the glass, touched his hand a little longer than necessary. "You don't need them," she said. "You're too sharp to be begging for jobs." He didn't respond, just sipped and looked away. That was the thing about her. She always said the right thing. But tonight, it felt like too much. "You're always so stiff," she said, brushing invisible lint off his shirt. "You need to relax." "I'm relaxed," he said. "No, you're polite. Not relaxed." She walked behind him, her fingers ghosting over his shoulders. He didn't flinch, but he didn't lean in either. His stomach was tight, his chest heavier than it should be. "Come sit," she whispered. He sat, stiff-backed, eyes flicking toward the door. "I don't know what you want from me," he said finally. She gave a little laugh, soft, dangerous. "Why do you always assume I want something?" He didn't answer, because deep down he already knew. "Do you trust me?" she asked. He looked up. "I barely know you." "Exactly," she said, smiling. "Which means you've got nothing to lose." She sat beside him, too close. The air between them turned warm, then hot, then stifling. He could feel her looking at him, even when he didn't look back. Her voice dipped lower. "I like you, you know. Not just your face. I mean everything. You're kind, real, and it's been a while since someone made me feel that." He turned his head. Their eyes met, and for a second, he almost believed her. Almost. She stood and walked toward the hallway, then stopped, turned, held out her hand. No words, just a look, and he stood there, torn in half. He didn't want this. Not like this. But how do you say no? When saying no makes you look ungrateful. When someone offers you warmth after you've spent months freezing. She smiled just a little, not seductively, like she knew she had him, like it was already done. He stepped forward. One step, then another, and then the door closed behind them. It happened, and afterward, she curled against him, whispering things he didn't want to hear. "I could get used to this. You're not like the others." "I needed that." He didn't say a word, just stared into darkness, heart pounding too loud in the silence. And maybe the worst part? It wasn't even the act. It was a quiet realization that he let it happen, that he said yes when everything inside him said no. Not because he wanted her, but because he didn't want to disappoint her, because he didn't want to seem weak, because deep down he still needed her help. And in that moment, it hit him. He wasn't in control. He never had been. He hadn't called her since that night. Didn't text. Didn't drop by. She noticed. At first, it was just a few missed calls. Hey, are you okay? He didn't respond. He needed space. He needed to breathe without her voice filling the room. But people like her, they don't do silence. They hate being ignored. So the text changed. From, you good? To, don't make me regret opening up to you. Then, answer me. Then, you're a fucking coward. And then nothing. For 2 days. Which should have been a relief. But instead, it felt like a storm was just holding its breath. He didn't hear them pull up. Didn't even see them cross the street. Hey! He turned, and before the word finished forming, the first punch landed. Right in the gut. Then another to his jaw. He hit the ground hard. Blood in his mouth before he understood what was happening. Delete the fucking video, one of them shouted. What? He choked. I said delete it. His phone was ripped from his pocket. They were yelling about footage, about recordings, about him violating her. And that's when it clicked. She said something. She told them something. A lie. One big enough to make them think they were delivering justice. They left him there, bleeding, shaking. His phone screen shattered. Battery yanked out. Wallet gone. And still, his mind couldn't stop replaying her voice. Did she mean it? Was this just punishment for ghosting her? Was it revenge or power? He didn't know. But he knew one thing now for damn sure. She lied. She lied, and the world believed her, because she knew they would. Because women like her don't need proof. They just need people who'll take their word. No questions asked. He filed a report. Walked into the precinct, still bleeding. Told them what happened, every detail. The officer nodded slowly. Asked a few questions. Then leaned back and said, You sure you want to push this kid? What's that supposed to mean? Her dad sits on the fundraising board for our department. And the mayor's. A shrug. Just saying, don't go stirring mud you can't swim through. He stood there, frozen. He came for protection. Instead, he got a warning. Like he was the problem. Like her lie was safer than his truth. That night, the city moved around him like it didn't care. And maybe it didn't. Maybe no one ever really did. He sat on that bench for hours. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just sat. A boy. Alone. With a busted phone, no one to call, and a lie swallowing him whole. That was the night the world got quiet. Not peaceful, just empty, and somewhere deep in that quiet, something inside him hardened. Not bitterness. Not yet, just awareness. That he couldn't count on anyone. Not the cops. Not the courts. Not even friends. If he wanted to survive this, he'd have to become someone they'd never see coming. The nurse asked him to fill out forms. He couldn't hold the pen properly. His fingers were too stiff from the swelling. Still, he scribbled his name. Just patch me up, he thought. That's all I can afford. He didn't say much when they stitched him. Didn't cry when the antiseptic stung. He just sat there, jaw locked, stomach hollow. They gave him painkillers. He said no. Pain was real. It kept him present. And he didn't want to forget any of it. He tried finding a lawyer, public defenders, online forums, legal aid sites. Every forum asked the same question. Do you have income? Do you have representation? Do you have proof? He had none. Just bruises. Just silence. And the more he searched, the more the internet reminded him of his place. Poor. Male. Unimportant. The law wasn't made for people like him. It was made for people like her. Man, you really dragged me into some shit, his friend said. I didn't ask you for anything, he replied. Yeah, but if she's saying what she's saying, I just don't want to get caught in the middle. So you believe her? I didn't say that. But you're not standing with me. His friend looked down. Look, you need to leave, bro, for both our sakes. And just like that, the last door closed. No one left. Not a soul. He walked out without looking back. He didn't have energy for goodbye. He stood on that bridge a long time. Not to jump, just to feel something cold, something real. The noise of the city felt muted from up there. He watched the lights, the taxis, the drunk laughter of people who had no idea what it was like to be him. He wasn't thinking about her anymore. He was thinking about systems, power, names that open doors, money that rewrites reality. He was thinking about how people like her never fall, because there's always a net waiting underneath. And people like him, they break. Unless they rebuild with something harder than the world, that broke them. He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he went back to that same internet cafe when it opened, logged into the old desktop, and typed in one name. Her full name. Click, search, scroll, and what he saw made his jaw tighten. Her father's company, her friends, her legal team, her reach. She was everywhere, but not untouchable. He closed the tab, leaned back, and for the first time in days, he smiled. Not a happy smile, not even revenge. It was the kind of smile that said, "You burned the wrong person, and I've got time." Then he opened a blank email, typed the subject line, "You remember me?" Then hit send. That was the moment everything changed. And what he does next won't just rewrite his life. It'll erase hers. So if you're watching this right now thinking I'll subscribe later, just remember this. She thought he was nobody too, until he was the last name she'd ever regret forgetting. So go ahead, hit subscribe now, before you become the one who didn't see it coming. And for those who still won't, I dare you to drop a comment and tell us why. Let's hear it.